Hey there guys, welcome back. And right now we're going to be looking at recreating this chiaroscuro ball using ink. Hopefully you have an ink pen. It doesn't have to be blue. It can be, it doesn't have to be black. It can be blue, red, yellow, whatever. So preferably blue or black. I said yellow. First thing I'm going to do is to sketch this ball out again. Sketch it light till you get it right. And about the same placement as I did the one earlier if you watched that video. So it doesn't have to be a perfect ball, but it's lighter, right? And we're going to recreate the same chiaroscuro technique with 5 values and a cast shadow. But this time, I'm going to be using a pen. Now, if it helps you, this is what I suggest in class sometimes. I'm suggesting it. So our light source is going to be here. That means it's going to have highlight here probably on the ball. The light is going to be here in this area. Very lightly I'm marking this out because I'm going to come back and erase this. I don't like seeing those lines. Our reflected light here, but we forgot something. Our cast shadow maybe it comes out underneath our object and it's an ellipse or it's a smashed circle, so to speak. So here's our cast shadow. Now, if you're in person, you're going to be doing all this in one class period, several things. So now I've just got my pen, and I'm going to start out with shading using the pen. Now there are 4 techniques, and you help me here, guys, over here on the side of your page. Help me do this. So I'm going to go with lines that go like that. The closer together these lines, the darker it is, right? You can put them right on top of each other. Darker, 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 darker. That is called hatching. H-A-T-C-H-I-N-G. There's another technique using pens that's called, that's hatching again. It's called cross-hatching, okay? So it's going over top these lines with X's or O, it's just hatching. It's cross-hatching, all right? Cross-hatching. Now, there's another technique that we did with a pencil that I'm not going to do with the pen, but it's just using blending or smudging. That's probably number 1 in the world if I had to guess. Smudging or blending using a pencil. But there's another one that you can do with the pen. Okay, and I'm showing you this. And it's called, you guys ever get a tattoo? If you have a tattoo, you probably experienced that needle going in. I don't have a tattoo, but the closer together these dots are, so who knows what this is called? It's called stippling. Stippling. And it's using little dots. The closer together they are, the darker it is, the farther. So we're going to just mess around with this, and we're going to try to recreate. We might use all 3 of those techniques. So I've got my guidelines here, but you don't have to do those. I'm looking back, I'm referring to this as I'm doing this, and I'm just I'm going to hatch and cross-hatch, whatever feels right as I get to it, so to speak. Now there's some light. There's some what I call shade up here on this part, but it's just not much. So I'm going to do a little bit of hatching and cross-hatching there. So hatching is the marks that go this way, and then cross-hatching is when you cross it. And maybe I could do a few dots just to... You don't want a big, harsh, dark shadow start there. You just want a subtle shade, just like we mentioned in the previous video. It's especially with pen. It's easier to get dark, but hard to get light. Okay? So now I'm going to go. Now you yourself See how dark that got right there really quick? And I'm not real happy with that. There's a big harsh line, so I'm going to go back over this a little bit. Not real, just want it to kind of blend is the word, but we're using pen, okay? And maybe I want it to come up here too. Now I got to go on around this ball because see that shadow is blocked here too, okay? Be careful when you start outlining with pen, you might create a shadow and not mean to. This part is where the reflected light lives, but right now we're just ignoring that because I'm wanting to add some shadow there. All right, so now we're going to go down here this part and see that's where the darkest part is. That's called cast shadow. And I am going to outline a little bit just so I can see that. Okay, now we can hatch, cross hatch. And I know if you were in class, you'd probably be doing like I'm doing right here. You might be doing it there too. So we're going over top of this. Now you see how I'm just kind of coloring it in right now? Going back over. Well, you're actually cross-hatching and hatching when you do this step here. I'm just filling it in. I'm not pushing real hard. But you can see how dark it's getting because I want it dark there. It's the cast shadow. And as I come out toward the end of this cast shadow, I can get lighter. By all means, get lighter if you need to. All right, so now we've got a good development going on here. Really can't see a differentiation or a difference in the shadow and the reflected light. So I'm going to go back over that. I'm doing a little stippling right through here. Keep in mind that shadow goes around through there. It's not going to hurt to have a little bit of texture to this, and that's what we're creating. So now I'm going to go back over this. I'm purposely just kind of hatching. It will get darker right where that shadow is, I'm looking back and forth at that image that I have laying here. So now we're going to just move my pencil. Just maybe even change the direction. That's how you make things darker a lot of times in art too. If you just change the direction of your pen. You see that? I've got a line there that I really don't like. I'm going to just bring it up a hair, bring it up a hair, bring it up a hair. Of course, if light is there, it's going to have kind of a line, right? And a friend of mine would say that's just staggering marks right now. You know, like you think of a drunk that might stagger. Well, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just staggering these lines, hatching, cross-hatching right inside this spot where the shadow is so that it gets darker. But I'm not killing that reflected light. So now I'm not going to outline this ball, and I'll tell you why. Because if it were a styrofoam ball sitting here on the table when we were drawing it, and that's how I prefer to do these things, it wouldn't have a black outline. We only use outlines to define things because we're drawing. So now this is going to be my table, again, just like the previous one. I'm going to do some broad hatching and cross hatching here just to show this background, and I'm not going to worry about smoothing it down and roughing it, but you'll see when I get done. I'm turning my paper. Please don't be afraid to turn that paper every now and then if it helps you. Not outlining that circle, just hatching and cross hatching up to it. So, see that?